attacking Syria after he did not seek approval from them. The hottest news over the past few days has been President Trump ordering airstrikes against Syria, which is currently ruled by Bashar al-Assad and his regime. Assad came under fire last year for ordering a chemical weapons attack against his own people, that left many women and especially children mortally wounded. Now congressional Democrats are pissed off at President Trump for his recent orders, and they are making him aware. Congressional Democrats have indicated their opinion that the president's actions authorizing strikes against Syria are unconstitutional, and an attempt to circumvent the authority of Congress. Moreover, they are questioning his strategy in dealing with Syria, whereas many Republicans are applauding the president's move. Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, who formerly ran for vice president under the presidential ticket of Hillary Clinton, made it clear he believes the president's actions are illegal, going as far as to say, President Trump's decision to launch airstrikes against the Syrian government without Congress's approval is illegal, and absent a broader strategy. Today, it's a strike on Syria. What's going to stop him from bombing Iran or North Korea next? The last thing Congress should be doing is giving this president a blank check to wage war against anyone, anywhere. While House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi of California argued that due to the brutal and inhumane nature of the war crimes perpetrated by Syria, it requires a smarter and more calculated response. She further argued that the president needed to present a far more comprehensive strategy for how he plans to deal with Syria to Congress so that he can gain their approval. NBC News reported, Representative Eric Swalwell tweeted that it was the same as when Trump struck Syria last year without congressional approval. What changed? Zero, Swalwell tweeted. They're still using chemical weapons. This is the result of a failure to have a strategy and engage Middle East countries to solve this problem. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said, a pinpointed, limited action to punish and hopefully deter Assad from doing this again is appropriate, but the administration has to be careful about not getting us into a greater and more involved war in Syria. The president announced in an address to the nation from the White House that U.S. airstrikes, in tandem with the United Kingdom and France, were underway in Syria, in response to an alleged chemical attack near Damascus last weekend. At a later Pentagon briefing, Defense Secretary James Mattis said that the president had the authority to launch the strikes under Article 2 of the Constitution, because Mattis said Trump was defending U.S. interests. Key Republicans on Capitol Hill said Friday night that they supported Trump's decision. The United States has taken decisive action in coordination with our allies, said Speaker Paul Ryan, RWIS, who said at his weekly news conference Thursday that he believed that Trump had authority to act against Syria, with any new congressional approval. We are united in our resolve that Assad's barbaric use of chemical weapons cannot go unanswered. His regime's unconscionable brutality against innocent civilians cannot be tolerated. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Kentucky, said he supports both the action and the objective. I applaud the president for taking military action against the Assad regime for its latest use of chemical weapons, and for signaling his resolve to do so again if these heinous attacks continue, said Senator John McCain, RS, chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Of note was Senator Bill Nelson, D. Florida, who faces a tough re-election fight against Florida's Republican Governor Rick Scott, and who backed Trump's response to Syria, tweeting, I support the attack because Assad must be held accountable for the use of chemical weapons. Regardless of what congressional members think, the president had a press conference on the attack and detailed why he took the actions he took and what he plans to do. President Trump emphasized that he completed the attack in conjunction with the French and British military. This was following weeks upon weeks of potential threats of retaliation over the chemical attacks on civilians. The Pentagon announced that at the order of the president a total of 105 missiles were launched, and that they successfully hit every target. Furthermore, that the Allies took every measure and caution necessary to minimize civilian death and to hit the intended military targets. They noted that at this time they are unaware of any civilian casualties at this time. However, Syrian state television refuted this statement, arguing that 3 civilians were wounded in the city of Homs, after several missiles hit the area and were later intercepted by the air defense systems of Syria. But, this is refuted as well because the director of the Joint Staff, Lieutenant General Kenneth McKenzie, argued that the missiles involved in the operation were not at all engaged either positively or negatively by Syrian air defenses. CNN reported, Syrian armed forces said in a statement, however, that the country's defense systems intercepted most of the missiles, but some hit targets including the research center in Barzeh, a suburb of Damascus. Russian Army Colonel General Sergei Rutskoy put a number to the claim, telling reporters that 71 of the cruise missiles were intercepted by Syria's air defense systems. It proves high efficiency of the Syrian armament and professional skills of the Syrian servicemen trained by the Russian specialists, Rutskoy said at a Ministry of Defense media briefing. Over the last 18 months, Russia has completely recovered the Syrian air defense systems, and continues its development. The Pentagon assessed that nerve agents were present in the Barzeh Research Center, and that the Syrian regime employed about 40 surface-to-air missiles, but those launches occurred after the last impact of the U.S. and its allies' strike. White also said Russia has begun a disinformation campaign on the situation. There has been a 2,000% increase in Russian trolls in the last 24 hours, White said. Therefore, we will keep you all abreast of the facts moving forward. Defense Secretary James Mattis said Friday night that the U.S. was expecting a disinformation campaign by those aligned with the Assad regime. It remains to be seen whether Syria will respond to the United States attacks yet. As of right now, Syrian ally Russia has called for an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council, and it is no doubt for reasons related to the rising tensions between Syria and the United States. What do you think about this? Please share this news and scroll down to comment below, and don't forget to subscribe Top Stories today.